Sekunde. Warte. Kann ich kurz was sagen, bevor wir loslegen? Danke, dass du die Uhrzeit beide Male eingestellt hast, nachdem du das Spiel gestartet hast. Viele nehmen diesen Schritt nicht ernst. Sie belassen die Uhrzeit einfach bei 12 Uhr. Lassen es. Aber du machst dir tatsächlich die Mühe, die Uhrzeit einzustellen. Weiß ich zu schätzen. Weiß ich, dass dir diese Erfahrung wichtig ist. Du bist aufmerksam. Ich kann gar nicht wissen, ob die von dir eingestellten Uhrzeiten korrekt sind. Pass auf, ich habe einen Vorschlag für dich. Da du so kooperativ warst, kannst du bei der nächsten Spielstart, wenn du diesen Bildschirm siehst, einfach deine Lieblingszeit einstellen. Mach nur, nimm einfach die Uhrzeit, die du willst, selbst wenn es nicht die richtige Zeit ist. Du hast es dir verdient. Alles klar, ich lasse dich jetzt mal weiterspielen. Die Stanley Parable. Ultra Deluxe. Einstellungen sollte alles passen. Geht da hoch. Audio sollte eigentlich mal lassen. Audio sollte passen. Damit das Spiel beginnt.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Könnt ihr auch einfach warten, bis hier ein Auftrag reinkommt. Bin fleißiger Arbeiter, also. Bin schön schnell unterwegs zu sein. Einfache Steuerung. Okay. Interagieren. Gucken. Einhändige Fortbewegung. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Hey.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mr. Memo. Wo ist Mr. Memo?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
War wieder das nicht Kaffee? Nicht springen. keiner da. Was? I hate Monday. Ja, wie viel? Ah, hier gibt's die Tassen. Das I did? Das kann ich nicht lesen.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Lass mich rein.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Also 20 Mal die Tür klicken. Wir wissen, was zu tun ist. Wir klicken 20 Mal die Tür. Wo ist mein Erfolg? Nicht mein Erfolg. Komm schon, Erfolg. Nur noch kein Erfolg.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
50 Klicks.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417. 417. Was 417? Oberlicht. Hier die Platte. Nimm mal rausschauen. Wir haben ein weißes Bild. Wo ist? Wo 27? Ja, 1,7, 4,3,7, 4,2,6, 4,2,5, 4,5,6, 4,2,0. Hier. Who farted? Wer hat gefurzt? Oh. Turname X. Oh, ich war's nicht. Verdammt. Computer ist abgestürzt. Das Be my Valentin. Gott, das Telefon. Sehr retro. Moment. Sind da irgendwie noch andere Rechner? Hier. Machen die alle die Rechner... Hier wurde der Rechner sogar schon abgebaut. Kennen die hier? Uns nicht lesen. Zoomen. Ich will zoomen. Schönes Landschaftsbild. Viel Papierkram. 417. Ich suche immer noch 417. Tokyo City. Ja, 417, da haben wir sie. I hate Mondays. 416. 415. Was hübsch. Wie war es hier? Moment.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Ernsthaft? 437. 437. Hier. Ah, hier.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
415. Okay. 415. 420. Ja, 415.
Now, back to door number 437.
Er hat Spaß, uns hier rumzuschicken, würde ich mal sagen. 437 wieder. Hier in der Ecke immer.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Er ist ja gut.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
419. 9. 423, 42, 418.
Yes, this is great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416. Ja gut, ein paar Klicks auf 416. 416 ist hier.
We've almost got it. Now the copy machine, do that one again.
Kopierer. Kopierer. Hier ist der.
Finish it off, Stanley. 5 clicks on door 430. Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Was für ein Erfolg. Nehme ich den hier überhaupt auf den Schreibtisch? Oh. So kann ich die Tür zumachen. Jetzt darauf auch. Sehen wir haben Langeweile. Wir sind ein Mitarbeiter und wir haben nichts zu tun. Also einfach mal gucken. Wenn Mitarbeiter nichts zu tun haben, machen sie nichts Produktives, nur Mist. Von daher. Schade. Noch nirgendwo rein. Bilder klicken. Kabel. Wie es 40
When
Leute.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Aber
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
okay. Über. Da ist ein Rechner an. Verdammt. Hat einer den Rechner angelassen. Hier war Büroparty, würde ich mal sagen. Und wir waren nicht eingeladen. Gib 3. Trocken halten.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Endlich.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Und sich.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Nö, definitiv. Doch nicht wegen uns.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ein Kaffee. Und Eistee oder. Komm schon, gib mir was. Gib mir doch was. Das ist ja hier eine Vertiefung. Na gut. Ah, hier, Kaffeemaschine. Kaffeenut. Komm, gib mir einen Kaffee. Kaffee. Jule. Und nicht das, was ich dachte. Geh mal halt zurück. Ich.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Nein. machen einfach Bilder für keine Lust auf Arbeit. Geht überhaupt? Die tickt so. Was auch immer da ist. Das
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not lie. If you are lying, write no stop. Bin hier gelandet. Also Stanley ist ganz schön klein geworden. Also wir können gerade so auf den Tisch schauen. Bin ich sehr klein. Nein. Ich. Ja. ID-Karte haben wir nicht. Oh. Lager. Warning. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. While cause that. Penalty for the misuse of cargo lift. 1000. Penalty for jumping of the cargo lift 5000. Jumping? Ich kann nicht jumpen. Genau. Bring it space. Der will nicht jumpen.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Nein.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
I hate Mondays. Wir haben ja auch nichts zu tun. Hier fühle ich mich noch groß.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Na, gucken wir. Wo ist Mr. Memo? Mr. Memo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, He entered the door on his left.
Aber jetzt muss sie zufallen. Einfach die Rechner an. Druckerpapier.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
How to solve this dispute with a coworker. Using slide to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure you slide click. Do graphics header. Everyone is unique. Most of all. Number of slides on the slide. Blue. Energies. Core Indigenous Shift Global Market Parat. Monetize Free to Play. Please more shots. Please back. The boss application minute. Denn hier lernen wir noch was dazu. What are your dreams for the future? Spring break. Tips for not getting fired. Wir haben nichts zu tun. Nichts zu tun. Frage ist, Kosteffizient. Gucken. Weekly Target, AAD Debt, Weekly Revive. Cost Inspect. Do not alter without consulting whiteboard management. Rip Franz. Nur 400 oder wie? 4xx ist so irgendwie für unten die 400er. Aber vor 400. Ja, hier. Boss Closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oh.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Ach.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Aber Däumchen drehen ist doch auch was.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Weil ich es kann, weil es hier schön ist und weil er mich fragt, was ich hier
You do
treibe.
realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Aber die Besenkammer existiert, also hat sie auch einen Grund zur Existenz.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Was? Fett und hässlich?
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Oh Mann. Die Leiche kann abtransportiert werden. Nur eine Leiche, die hier abhängt. Wir können uns auch hier erhängen. So. Thema Leiche. Liegestütze oder so. Er reagiert nicht mehr. Schade. Er reagiert nicht.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you too. Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Wollte einer mal den Affen. Er spielt die Story weiter. Schade, er reagiert nicht mehr.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Schade. Eierhose. Ich gehe heim.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. "I'm dreaming!" he yelled. "This is all a dream." Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Oh,
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, And in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.